Hey guys, back in the workshop here at Shock Treatment. We have a little saying that nothing beats us, and we try to solve as many technical issues as possible. Come up here and have a look at this. What do you reckon about these forks? Hey? They're dogs? What do you think? These are the forks out of an Indian Scout bobber, and they're a different sort of cartridge, and we're finding that as technical as suspension can be, a lot of people are trying to dumb it down and make some very, very basic stuff. Now, with this particular set of forks, we have a very, very poor rebound valve set up. It's just an orifice style damper and really not going to give us the greatest level of control. And we have a valve that's actually peened in the bottom of this fork, so it makes it non-serviceable. They've rolled over the end of the tube and you can see the punch marks, making it impossible for us to get out. Well, not impossible, impossible for the average person. And the other leg on here is just a dummy leg. It's basically going to be a separate function fork. So one side does spring, and that's all it does. And on this cartridge we have a spring and we have the damper. And that's fine, we don't care if we're just working with the one leg. But in order to get this out now, what we're going to do is we're going to machine it. We'll cut away the peening. We'll drill these holes and we'll actually press that valve out, and we're going to replace this system with a conventional valve setup. We'll be using Racetech Gold valves. Racetech have amazing technology when it comes to valves, and what we're going to have is we'll end up with something that's completely tunable. We'll have a much better rebound result. We'll install what we call a mid valve, and we'll put the compression valving in here, and ultimately we'll get much better performance from this Indian Scout bobber. We'll have a happier customer. Smiles on the face. Okay, so we've pulled our cartridges apart, and as suspected we found some very ordinary valving systems, and so like I said, we'll be upgrading them with gold valves. So we've got the rebound gold valve and the compression gold valve, and basically it's just going to the one cartridge. Now these forks don't have a hell of a lot of travel, and they've got a fairly long, very aggressive top out spring, so we're actually going to put this aside, and we'll be replacing it with a shorter, more compliant top-out spring, and that'll actually give us a little bit more travel. We're aiming to get about 20 mil more stroke out of this bike. And once we put these valves in here, we can put a proper shim stack in there, and we can make it as compliant and as controlled as we wish. If the customer rides this bike and they said, hey, we'd like it a little bit harder, a little bit softer, it's now fully tunable, and we can pull it apart and adapt it to suit their requirements. But in order to get this thing apart, there are peenings at the bottom of the cartridge. We've simply drilled those out. And rather than take the bottom off the cartridge, what we've done is we've actually pushed the valve all the way through. Fortunately, we're able to reuse the original post, and we've just made a couple little changes to that. And we'll put the valve in, we'll set it back down, and instead of using peening, we'll just put a little grub screw in there and everything will be secured in place. So this Indian Scout will have a far more sophisticated fork system now, and the fork springs that they had in there were quite soft, but a massive amount of preload. And when you put that much stored energy into the spring, what it means is the initial feel will be quite firm on those small jittery bumps, but because it's a light rate, it'll still dive under brakes and be a bit wallowy in corners. So all in all, we'll make a massive change to this bike, and hopefully the rider will be fully appreciative. Okay, so we've had a really good result with our bike here this morning, the Indian Scout bobber. It's turned out beautifully. Couldn't be happy with the way it's working at the moment. We've done a few little tweaks, make sure it's steering correctly, braking correctly, but the bump management is awesome. So it's a joy to ride, even with the big fat front tyre that we've got on here. Normally these bikes are a little lazy, but this has worked out really nicely, and great result. Thank you.